Let's get sweaty.
Hey guys, welcome to another Shenmue Dojo video. Today I wanted to sort of do a little bit of a follow-on video from the video I did last week, which was about Shenmue 4 and a potential digital-only release, and sort of moving towards Shenmue potentially being on cloud gaming services, and potentially why it's not there and what it could benefit from. This was mentioned also in a recent stream by Ali Novin, who brought the question up live on air, and it sort of prompted this video. And at the moment, Shenmue is currently not on any sort of the mainline cloud gaming services. There is one that you can access Shenmue 3 from, which I'll come into in a minute. But I want to talk about the sort of potential of this platform, potentially, the benefits, the difficulties, and whether it could benefit the series, essentially. Disclaimer, this is essentially being an assumption alongside a traditional physical digital release. As we know, Shenmue 1, 2 and 3 have got physical and digital releases, and I'm assuming Shenmue 4 would go down the same potential path, so this would be alongside that model essentially, so it's in addition to, if you like. So before I dive into the pros and cons and any potential issues, all that sort of stuff, current models that are out there, current services that are out there. So you've got Game Pass Ultimate, which is £13 a month, and that includes your access to the cloud, which has been thoroughly tested by Microsoft. You've got PlayStation Plus Premium, which is £13.49 a month, or £100 a year, which it's not too bad really when you consider that's quite a substantial drop if you pay for it monthly. That allows your PS4 cloud streaming, and testing on PS5 games is happening right now, and that would go up to 4K if that eventually goes live. So potentially, if you could maybe access Shenmue on there if that was put on there. You've got Apple Arcade, where Air Twister debuted just over a year ago. That's $4.99 a month. It's obviously exclusive to Apple services, so you unfortunately can't access it off of anything other than an Apple device. So you're looking at an iPhone, iPad, Apple TV, MacBook, whatever it is. It's tied to the Apple service platform, so it's not that widely available elsewhere. Yes, I know Apple sells quite well, but you sort of see where I'm going with that. Amazon Luna, another cloud service, is $8.99 a month. That's accessible on pretty much anything that has a browser these days. And then the one that's probably a little bit in the middle, I guess, it is a cloud service, but not quite in terms of the traditional model of the others I've just come out for, is GeForce Now. So it's a cloud service that allows you access to very basic computers all the way up to a 4080 rig, essentially. But the caveat here is you must own the games to play them. They have about 1,500 games accessible, so you can check the list on the website to see if there's any of the games that you own, either by Steam, Epic, or whatever, that you can access via it, but you must own them. And then what you do is you pay a monthly or 6 monthly fee for a rig, essentially, and then away you go. So there's a very basic free service. I've never used it, but if anybody has, drop us a comment. You've got a 1080p rig for about £45 for 6 months. And then you've got a 4K rig, which is running off a 4080 GPU at £90 a month. And they all have different sort of caveats as to how long you can play them at one point, etc., etc. But go and have a look at the website if you wanted to sort of check those out. So they're your mainline ones that I can think of, obviously, and there's probably more out there that I've missed. Moving on then, has Shenmue ever been on these sorts of services? Well, the answer is yes, sort of. Yeah, you can sort of argue this one a little bit, I guess. So Shenmue 1 and 2 HD were on Xbox Game Pass before being removed in April-May 2020. I don't know why it was removed. I don't know what happened there. I don't know anything about the player stats. I'm just presuming the deal came to an end at that point. My understanding, and don't quote me on this, is it couldn't be accessed via the xCloud at that point because I think it was still undergoing testing. But someone, please do correct me if I'm incorrect on that. Shenmue 3 was on PlayStation Plus Extra and Premium until May 2023, so this year basically. Again, I'm unsure why it was removed, whether the deal disappeared or not, whatever, but you could, through that, access Shenmue on the cloud if you were playing for PlayStation Plus Premium, so you could access it on a browser. I think you could access it on your phone as well, potentially, so there was that option there. And as I said, GeForce Now, you can access Shenmue 3 on there, but you must own it on the Epic Store according to the NVIDIA website. So check that out if you are thinking about going down that route potentially and how that may work for you. So it's checkered, it's patchy. I'm not sure why it hasn't made more of a big deal of this sort of thing, but could Shenmue essentially benefit from being on these services? Now, most of these, if not all of them, are cloud-based, so they have an element which means it essentially should be much more accessibility to any device that's hooked up to the internet. So when you think of, you could have a PC that's an old PC, but you can still access the internet through it. You could use the cloud, mobile phone, iPad, tablet, whatever. If it's connected to the internet and has a browser, theoretically you can access these things, and therefore the audience for this type of thing potentially is massive. There's pitfalls to this, which I'm going to come to in a minute. So it would theoretically open Shenmue up to a much larger audience, and in certain countries like Japan, mobile gaming is probably the way to play video games these days, which for me sounds really, really strange, but it is the way that's going forward. And probably part of the reason Nintendo Switch has done so well, because it's portable. But anyway, that's a different kettle of fish altogether. So you could sort of tie this into a potential Shenmue 4 release, essentially by having all 3 games on a service like this. The issue, obviously, with Game Pass is it's Microsoft Xbox exclusive platform, and there's a Sony exclusivity for Shenmue 3, so whether that had to be worked through to get it on there, that could be an issue. GeForce Now, as I said, would need access to Shenmue 1 and 2 because it doesn't have access to Shenmue 3, and you would need to own these games, so there'd need to be some negotiation around this. But theoretically, you could tie it into a Shenmue 4 release, or if you really, really wanted to, you could just chuck them on there anyway and see what happens. I mean, broadly speaking, I don't know if they would lose anything from this sort of thing. I guess the question I have, and something I couldn't particularly find out through sort of a very quick Google search around the research in this thing, is how they make money, how the publishers make money off this sort of service. So again, that might be a different video, different discussion around this, but I would assume, I'm putting a caveat on this, would assume it's around engagement, access, and all the rest of it, and hours played, and all those sorts of things, those metrics. So you could put them on there, going back to the topic, on for a limited time to have people catch up, ready for Shenmue 4, or even through the release window of Shenmue 4, so that you essentially have all 4 games that are easily accessible to as many people as possible. That's a big thing with Shenmue here, and with games in general. Make it as accessible as you can. So cloud gaming could be another feather in the cap for this sort of thing, potentially. We'd have to see what happened with it, and deals would need to be negotiated. I don't know what all the intricate details of something like that, but it's a thought sort of to keep in our heads, I guess. Issues around cloud gaming. Well, there's probably a few here. Now I'm going to talk about Shenmue specifically at this point. The original Shenmue games control systems probably don't lend itself too well to mobile and tablets. I have seen the controls emulated really, really well through sort of Rycast or Redream on mobile phones, for example. So it can be done, but I feel you'd need a controller to get the most out of these games. Now, you do these days have phone holders that can attach to controllers and things like that that give you that accessibility to allow that to happen. So it's a much more easy way of doing it, but you have to consider that, I guess, in these sorts of examples going forward. Then there's the issue around the cloud gaming services itself. It's very much internet connection dependent because it's in the cloud. You're accessing it from thousands of miles away potentially in this case. So you need a good internet connection. Now, I'm lucky. I've got a fairly decent internet connection here, so I should, if I want to do that, I could do it and probably shouldn't experience too many lag issues. If you're on poor mobile network, slow internet, then you're obviously going to have a lag or potential lag considering the data transfer rate. So that is an issue in terms of accessibility at this point. Now, we are lucky that most places in the UK are moving over to 5G, which is a notable difference from 4G mobile network in terms of the speed and download speeds and etc. on your phone, but we're not there yet. And I feel this sort of technology is potentially in its infancy. So Shenmue 4, depending on when this all does or doesn't come out, may sort of not be able to access it at its full potential. Maybe. It's just a thought out there. But so to finish this video off, I guess, is do we have anything to lose from this? And my answer straight out is no. We don't have anything to lose. Shenmue 1, 2 and 3 have been on sale for quite a long time now. So in terms of like high numbers of game sales, yes, there will be a tail of sales trickling through here and there and everywhere, and that's great, and long may that continue. But at this point, it's not going to be significant. So by chucking the 3 games on cloud services, you don't really lose anything. You don't. It's like there's nothing to lose, everything to gain. You might get some new fans, you might get some more people interested in the series, and then that preps people for Shenmue 4. So really, you don't lose a huge amount here. Potentially, if a Shenmue 4 is released, they could then present a spike in accessibility to the services for Shenmue 1, 2, and 3 if it was on cloud, and a spike in sales for the previous entries as well. So guys, what do you think about cloud gaming services, and how could Shenmue potentially benefit from something like this? Drop us some comments below. I'll have a look at them and respond to them in due course, of course. Guys, thank you again, always, for dropping in on the content. Give us a like, share, subscribe, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Twitch. You know you can find us. But for now, guys, take care. Have a good one. All the best.